Guy just stepped out to take out the trash, only to be struck and killed by a van. The vehicle didn't stop. It just floored it and sped away. Next, they locked onto their second target, a guy complaining about traffic. A masked man hopped out of the van, shot him point blank, jumped back in, and took off. Their third target was me. At the time, my wife and I were expecting our first child, completely unaware that a hit squad had already infiltrated our home. They cut the power and crept up to the second floor bedroom. Once they made it to the room, they never expected that I wouldn't even be in bed. Not wanting to wake my wife, I had stayed downstairs in the living room alone to listen to music. That decision saved my life. It wasn't until the computer suddenly lost power that I knew something was wrong. As a former Navy SEAL, my instinct for danger kicked in immediately. I grabbed a pistol from the drawer and stealthily made my way upstairs, double tapping targets to make sure they stayed down. I kept pushing up the stairs, shooting at every shadow that moved. After taking out 2 of the hitmen, I finally reached the second floor. The last guy and I fired at each other at the exact same time, and we both went down hard. I was severely wounded and unable to fight back. Because he was wearing body armor, he was in better shape than I was. He struggled to raise his gun to finish me off, but his weapon clicked empty. Out of ammo, he had no choice but to scramble away. He had no idea that this single mistake would bring absolute ruin down on him and his entire organization. But I couldn't care less about him in that moment. My only thought was my wife. Ignoring the very real danger of bleeding out, I dragged myself toward the bedroom and fought through the agony to pull myself up to the edge of the bed. Even though I had braced myself for the worst, seeing her brutally murdered broke me, and I couldn't stop the tears. I was rushed to the hospital immediately. After emergency surgery, I barely pulled through. When my old squad mate, Major Greer, came to visit, I asked her the one question I cared about most. I don't know. But she didn't have an answer. 2.5 months later, I was fully recovered. Major Greer brought me the latest intel. The assassins were Russian operatives, and I was their primary target. During a previous mission in Syria, I had killed the son of the director of Russian intelligence. This was their payback. Not wanting to spark an international incident, the CIA brass wanted to sweep the whole thing under the rug. I was beyond disgusted. I had put my life on the line for this country for years, only to be hung out to dry in the end. Major Greer was just as furious on my behalf. Because of that, she risked a treason charge to bring me a classified dossier. The file showed there were 4 hitmen in total. The 3 dead ones had been ID'd, but the guy who got away was a ghost. However, the major told me that all 3 of their visas were issued by a diplomat named Vasiliev. Find him, and I'd find the 4th killer. That night, I went back home. The place that used to be filled with warmth and happiness was now completely dead. I walked over to the water tank and pulled out a hidden stash containing weapons and cash. Next, I poured a bottle of liquor all over myself, disguising myself as a drunk homeless man to get close to the diplomat's mansion. Right then, Vasiliev was heading out. Once I made his vehicle, I didn't make my move immediately. Instead, I drove behind him, tailing him at a casual pace. To shake off his security detail, I called 911 and claimed the car ahead of me was driving erratically and that